Wolfenstein Youngblood is out now, but is it worth buying? Is it any good? Henry Cooper is here with me, Gareth Evans, and we're going to find out. We're going to read some reviews and we're going to tell you all about it. So first up, what is Wolfenstein Youngblood? Now this is the follow-up from the previous installment in the franchise, which was Wolfenstein 2 New Colossus, published by Bethesda Studios. This is developed by Machine Games as the previous one was, but this time they've got Arcane Studios on board, who are the developers behind Dishonored and Prey and the upcoming, recently announced Deathloop. So this should have a little bit more prestige to the proceedings, I should think.
Yeah, they've got a bit of experience making pretty acclaimed first-person, not just shooters, but like first-person action games.
So this game is more of a spin-off from Colossus than actually a fully fledged game in its own right, and it's set in Paris 19 years after the happenings of Colossus, and the story follows the sisters Jess and Soph Blazkowicz, and they're trying to locate their father BJ, who has mysteriously disappeared. So there's the plot in a nutshell. The structure of the game is kind of open. You can do missions in whatever order you want, which is a little bit different. It's not corridor type first-person shooter like you normally get with some games. They've followed the kind of followed the Metro Exodus thing, where there's more open areas to explore now.
Yeah, it's totally non-linear. I think there's like one map, but it's broken up into like smaller districts of the city. Yeah,
there's like a hub area and you can go and do whatever missions, whatever order you want. They have designed the game around multiplayer, so there's a huge multiplayer co-op type of structure to the game. That's the whole thrust of this game. So it also includes in that vein dropping in and out co-op, so you can have friends join you in and out, dropping out. There's level scaling and instance loot as well, which helps for the multiplayer side of it. You can choose to do it with an AI companion if you so wish. They've introduced these RPG mechanics, which some of the reviews might mention later on. So you access new skills and perks as you progress. So you a choice between stealth, run and gun, all sorts of different types of approach to taking down the enemies, essentially. So you can play on your own if you want with the AI, like I said. The price of it is £25 to £24.99 on Steam right now. But if you upgrade to the deluxe version of the game for £35, it's £10 more, you get a buddy code, which allows a friend of yours to join you in your game throughout the playing of it. So essentially, they can't play it without you playing it, but they can play it with you. So you get kind of two games in one for £35, which is an interesting proposition.
Yeah, it's quite a unique selling point. It's quite a good idea for co-op games, I think.
And just a quick mention, if you are interested in buying it on the PC platform, check out Green Man Gaming. They've got a sale now on 17% off. For the standard version, it's £20.74 if you buy through Green Man Gaming, who are a very reputable gaming sales store. We are an ambassador of Green Man Gaming, so you can use our referral link in the top of the description. If you are a new customer with them, you will also save an extra 15% off the price of it using the code HELLO15, which takes the total price down to £17.63. Now that is a bargain you cannot pass up on if you're interested in buying this game on the PC platform. Now let's move on to some of the reviews. Henry, you've been taking a look.
Yeah, I've been having a look through the Metacritic list, which if you don't know, it kind of pulls together a bunch of different review outlets and averages out a score. So currently on Metacritic, it's got a 77 critics score. So that's from professional reviewers and outlets and whatnot. 77, it's one of those ones where it's not really bad, but a lot of people see, oh, it's 7 out of 10, that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good enough, yeah. Although there are some very stand-up games, some of the best games are 7 out of 10 in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they do what they do really well, but that's just
sometimes it just doesn't land with people. So that's based on about 19 professional critics, but then even as I was writing these down, the user score dropped, and it's currently at 3.1, and it's been on the way down this morning. That's based on 24 user reviews, and I'll come back to those in a minute. But some of the most positive reviews did really enjoy the game. Game Informer gave it an 8.5 and praised it for having fun gameplay, but having a weaker story than the previous ones, and the characters are kind of like fun and kooky and weird, but there's not much substance to them. So I got a quote here. Youngblood excels as an entertaining shooter with the right kind of RPG elements and choices. However, when compared to the stellar and shocking storytelling of previous Wolfensteins, this entry comes up short. It has a few interesting breadcrumbs about what happened in the aftermath of Wolfenstein 2, including the fates of a couple of characters, but this outing is mainly focused on the exploits of its dynamic comic duo. As far as protagonists go, Jess and Soph are likable goofballs, a detour from their sad sack papa, but they don't have any real character development. So it sounds like this person had fun with it, but it's just not quite as good as the previous ones. So there will be microtransactions in the game, but I don't think they're there yet. They're trying to do the sneaky post-launch microtransactions, I think.
Oh, the sneaky post-launch microtransactions.
I mean, was saying homogenizing all your games is because everyone else is doing it, so they can get away with it. But they're supposed to be non-gameplay affecting, and it's just a bunch of skins you can get for your character because they've got like a weird nano suit armor.
Next up, GameSpot gave it an 8. They said the good was that it was thrilling, challenging combat encounters, light RPG elements, spice up solid gameplay. And we've seen this as a bit of a trend. Far Cry brought these light RPG. Everyone wants to be a light RPG now. It's like,
and it's all
being
loot
a shooter isn't good enough now.
It's all like loot shooty type stuff as well, where every weapon has a grade. Your level 10 weapon's not good enough to kill the level 11 guy, so go away and grind and get a new one.
Every game wants to be Destiny.
Yeah.
And next up on the good list, bright, charming, and unapologetic attitude from Jess, Soph, and Abby, seamless co-op system, and decent AI partner for solo players. The bad, however, lack of variety in side missions and additional activities, limited use of co-op for gameplay features. And the quote is, the Blazkowicz sisters steal the show in a bite-sized co-op FPS spin-off that packs a hell of a punch, further invigorating the Wolfenstein franchise. And they say bite-sized co-op FPS spin-off, there's a mouthful there, but apparently this game is a little bit longer to play through than the previous game, even though it is a bite-sized spin-off. That's how it's been turned.
And it's cheaper because of it supposedly being smaller accordingly. But yeah, apparently people have been playing longer, but I feel like that's probably because of the RPG nature of it and having to go away and grind for ages to be able to kill high-level Nazis. Oh yeah, FYI, you're killing Nazis, and if that troubles you, maybe you need to reevaluate your life. So then there's another one from Polygon, and they don't give a score, but they were reasonably positive on it as well. Youngblood is a meat and potatoes first-person shooter where all the systems work well, the enemies provide a brutal challenge, and a friend can come along through this whole thing. It seems like it was designed as a relatively inexpensive crowd pleaser of an FPS, and I will admit that I was very entertained. So that again sounds like they had a good time. It's not the most deep or exciting experience, but it's still fun nonetheless, and because it's a bit cheaper, you can kind of get away with it.
Some of that, yeah. Now let's move on to some of the more average reviews. So Digital Trends give it a 7 out of 10. The highs: lovable main characters, fun co-op, unlockable skills complement gameplay, open format allows you to play at your own pace, pep signals are great tools in combat. So pep signals allow you to communicate with your co-op partner or whatever, and you can get buffs, you can get extra armor, you can get extra health from them, but there's a bit of a cooldown to it. So it's not the same as like the ping mechanic from Apex Legends. Not something like that where you communicate. It's more just getting
giving your body
communicating with one button and getting
like a tactical advantage
from it. Yeah. So the lows were weapon modifications don't feel substantial. AI is finicky, and the quote here: final boss is a bullet sponge. Spoilers, throwing it in there. When all is said and done, and Nazi Germany's ego has been bruised by a couple of rad teenage girls, one fact remains: Wolfenstein Youngblood is fun as hell. The goofy Blazkowicz sisters make it compelling enough to endure its sometimes annoying quirks. Bring a partner for best results. The game shines when you're playing co-op alongside a friend, and the game is geared towards co-op and playing with your friend. So what does that say? This guy had a lot of fun, only rated it a 7 out of 10, but what does that matter when you're paying 25 quid, 30 quid for a game that you're going to have a lot of fun with?
Yeah.
What does it matter what the score is?
Yeah, 25 to 30 quid, which you can then play with 2 people for the same price, because of the buddy pass thing. If you get, the deluxe edition, if you get the deluxe edition. And it sounds very much like if you're playing it on your own, you'll have like a fine time, it's a time killer. But then if you've got a friend, it's going to be so much better.
What it's for.
Then IGN were a bit more negative, but still kind of average altogether, giving it a 6.5, and they said it's just okay, and said it has a good shooting and all-round action, but it's not as good as previous games, kind of like what Game Informer said. And the quote is: Wolfenstein Youngblood is an aggressively okay co-op shooter that doesn't come close to recapturing the joy of its predecessor's action or its surprisingly interesting characters and story. There needs to be more punctuation in that sentence. It doesn't completely fumble the joy of its weapons and abilities or counteract the pleasing sensation of squishing Nazis between your toes, but it does make it harder to enjoy it seemingly every turn with an out-of-place leveling system, busted stealth gameplay, some aggravating boss fights, and inadequate checkpoint saves. Frankly, I expected more from the Blazkowicz twins. So they're not too keen on the addition of RPG stuff and the way they've tried to implement that, and it kind of brings you out of the experience. You've got to like go through menus and whatnot instead of just getting to the good stuff and the shooting and the story.
Yeah, I like the fact that they've tried to iterate on the franchise and not just churned out the same game as they did last time. They've got, you know, co-op is different. They've got this different things to it. All right, they're adding in RPG mechanics. All games in the world are like RPG these days. But is it being homogenizing the games, or is it just iterating on the game that you've got? I mean, that's the question out there, I guess. But let's move on to the Destructed, who gave it a 6, and they said it's all right, slightly above average, or simply inoffensive. Fans of the genre should enjoy it a bit, but a fair few will be left unfulfilled.
I like the idea that it's inoffensive. It's not so bad that I'm upset and I'm going to go rage on the internet, but I didn't really like it.
You toxic titled gamers out there, it's not offensive, so calm down.
Although we will get there. There's a couple who found it very offensive.
Maybe I just expected too much, but I find myself missing the careful balance of story and gameplay that the New Order had down pat. Youngblood makes plenty of strides forwards for the series, but it also takes some steps backwards that end up hurting the overall package.
No one likes getting your package hurt.
Yeah, that's true. The fact that this game has to take strides forward or take a step backwards for the series, why can't it's supposed to be an offshoot? It's not supposed to take the series forward. That's the whole point of it. This is trying something new as an offshoot.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of it, right? It's a different branch. It's not the same.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people have got wrong, because as he said, maybe I expected too much, and expectations are everything. If you think this is going to be another like story-driven, large-scale Wolfenstein game like the New Order or the New Colossus, you're probably going to be let down, like this guy seems to have been. But if you understand that it's a smaller scale, smaller experience for co-op and to spend in multiplayer, you'll probably enjoy it a lot more knowing that fact. So going back to a comment about people being rather offended, most of the Metacritic reviews aren't terribly positive. They're 1s or 0s, and that's usually the way it goes with Metacritic users. There's very rarely a considered user review. So there's one here from Stars Barry, who gave it a 1. Wait for Doom. Below average in every way. I'm not sure what happened to this series. They've just got progressively worse with time. It's like they took everything people hated about the New Colossus and made that into a game with some slapped on Ubisoft-style open-world co-op. Wolfenstein fans do not want another Far Cry, we want another Wolfenstein game. This is twice you have failed us now. So he's not very happy. All the bad things he didn't like in the previous ones.
You gave it a 1, so that's pretty high.
I mean, at least it's not a 0. You definitely like something. Wait for Doom. I think they're quite different games than Wolfenstein and Doom, but I suppose they're both...
Yeah. I mean, it does raise the question again. Are they just trying to homogenize their game, just bringing in all these little facets of other type of games, a little bit more open world, a little bit more RPG, a little bit co-op, like just into the mix and mixing it all up? Like, how many games are like this now? Or is this them just trying something new and just trying to move the franchise in a different way for a change? I mean, that's the question, isn't it? It depends how you see it. It depends what your interpretation of it is, whether you want to criticize them for doing this or whether you want to praise them for doing it.
Yeah, it comes down to whether or not you think that's a step forward in the right direction or a step away from what you liked in the first place.
Because this game might appeal to more people than a previous one did, or different people might find the appeal to this game and they might not have felt the appeal of the other game. More people might want to play co-op. More people might like the RPG mechanics. So just because you're a gamer and you played a lot of the franchise in the past, and you know this one doesn't appeal to you, maybe you're not completely right, because maybe this does serve some other players. But anyway, it's just thrown out there. Anyway, let's move on.
Viorka, who gave it a 0. Wolfenstein young bitch, SJW and feminists. Bullshit.
Well, obviously referring to the fact that SJW because you're fighting Nazis, and feminist
because you're playing as women. If you're upset about killing Nazis, that sounds like a you problem.
What I've got to say is, like, how many legitimate enemies types are there remaining? If you can't have Nazis, who can you have? If you get called an SJW for putting Nazis in your game, who the fuck can we kill now?
Yeah.
No, who could we?
It's always been Nazis and zombies a free game, because zombies, they're already already dead, but now we're probably going to get told off about them.
SJWs for killing Nazis? Is that the way the world these days? I don't know if I want to live in this world anymore.
But okay, well, if we're not allowed to kill anyone, we've just got to play
millions of people that they killed, they gassed in those chambers.
Stop we're not allowed to kill them. For them. They deserve it. Anyway, so there's Mr. RX Theta, who also gave it a 0. Fabula bullshit, old technology, no RTX, or serious multi-core usage. Dumb co-op AI. So he's a bit of a tech snob.
Well, I watched the ACG review and he seemed to say that there was loads of options when it comes to PC and tweaking it, and he said it ran really well.
Really easy to optimize on.
Yeah, I'm going to take ACG's opinions more to heart than this dude who's flaming at them because there's no RTX or serious multi-core damage. ACG knows what he's talking about when it comes to the tech side of stuff, so I'll go with what ACG thinks. And on that note, you've got
speaking of ACG, he had some good and bad points. Overall, he was more negative than positive, but the good stuff he said, he quite liked the graphics. Said the combat was good, the basic shooting. He quite liked the skill system because you can upgrade different abilities and stuff. He likes the weapon flexibility because you can swap out parts of weapons kind of like you could in Metro Exodus and turn your basic pistol into like a machine pistol or like a big powerful hand cannon, so we quite like that. But what we didn't like was repetitive locations and setups because it's kind of open world, so you're going back to the same places all the time and killing the same enemies. Bland missions, spongy enemies, open world woes, so it's more open world problems that we've seen time and time again, and the enemy AI. And I think overall he gave it his wait for sale rating, and if you don't know, he does a buy, wait for sale, rent, or never touch type rating rather than a traditional review score.
Skill Up, on his initial impressions on Twitter anyway, he said the following: played for a few hours of Wolfenstein on Twitch. Man, I was not having fun. Tone is so off. Writing so cringe. The awesome shooting mechanics are completely gutted by the faux looter shooter / RPG design without the gear game to complete the loop. UI design terrible. Skip or sail IMO. Skip or sail is very harsh based on a few hours of play, but he knows what he's talking about. Does Skill Up. The fact that he says the tone is off, writing so cringe, that's how I felt about New Colossus. Yeah, I've got to be honest, it was a bit cringe. The tone is a bit off. The tone of the game is a bit like, we're fighting Nazis, this is fun. It's so fun.
It's a fun little adventure.
Why not be gritty? Why not try and be dirty and dark?
His comments about loot shoot stuff are really interesting because he plays all of them. He's played loads of Anthem, loads of the Division. Like he knows that is kind of his bread and butter. And if he thinks it's half-baked loot system,
it probably is.
And Alana Pierce had similar things to say, and she's an ex-IGN writer but currently works for Funhouse with them, and she's done, it's not quite a review, but she posted a video to her personal channel saying Wolfenstein Youngblood is not what you think. And again, this comes into your expectations because she went in blind, didn't watch any of the trailers and stuff because she wanted to be like unspoiled and all that, which is the risk you've kind of got to take if you want to do that. And she said it was a lot like Destiny, like that was the main thing that jumped out to her for like the way you pick up missions, and it's like, go here and your mission is kill 16 of these enemies and you'll just come back to the same location and do it again just on a higher difficulty later on.
Well, there you go. There is our review roundup of Wolfenstein Youngblood. Are you interested or not? Let us know down below. Do you agree with these comments or don't you? Let us know down in the comments below. Again, if you are looking to buy it on Steam, you head over to Green Man Gaming with our affiliate link in the description of this video. Use the code HELLO15 for another additional 15% discount, and you also help the channel out while you're doing it. So thanks for watching this video, and on behalf of Henry and I, we will see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.